Welcome to the plantation. I'm your host, Master Gabriel. What a week this has been. And firstly and foremost, I do apologize to my slaves for not reaching out to you. I had my final exams in the month of May, towards the end of May, and I've successfully completed my final exam, and I am now officially graduating this coming October with my bachelor's degree in international relations. Nonetheless, things have heated up in South Africa, and we do understand that we got problems. Big problems. Now let's run through a few things. I trust that everyone is doing well. I trust that the slaves are all still enslaved and working at the plantation for all your slave masters. And I trust that you are contributing valuably towards our ever evolving and growing society. So let's have a look at a few things that have come across my mind. I'm just going to go through a few things, and I'm going to share my opinion and analysis of a few things that are actually bothering me as a South African. Let's unpack. Now, if we have a look here at the following, Mr. Mkwanazi, oh man, those allegations that he dropped on a Sunday. On a Sunday. Who says those types of things on a Sunday? What does that tell you? We don't give a damn about what time it is. We don't care. When we need to clean house, we shall clean house. Let's hear what this gentleman has said. Now, according to the damning allegations that has come out in the open, a lot of South Africans are patriotic. I'm one of those South Africans. I'm very patriotic about my country. I love my people. I love my continent. And I also love our brothers and sisters that are outside of South Africa, not only within the SADC region, but also West, East, and North Africa. Now, these allegations, they do extend beyond Gauteng, apparently, infiltrating various sectors, including the South African Police Force, the Police Ministry, as well as Parliament. Some official prison structures are all included. Alongside this is the judiciary and also other law enforcement authorities. Now, if these allegations extend beyond Gauteng, how far and deeply rooted are these allegations that Mr. Mkwanazi mentioned? That what I just said to you is just an overview of the extent and the reach of how far these allegations have gone. Now, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has claimed that Police Minister Senzo Mchunu, along with several other figures, has obstructed investigations leading into the political killings and also organized crime. Surely, as a Minister of Police, why are you obstructing investigations regarding political killings and organized crime? Now, that to me is a sign of concern. That's like dating a woman that's showing you red flags. Now, surely this minister is a red flag. If you are meddling in the investigations into political killings and organized crime, as a minister, you pledge the oath to South Africa and to the office and also the position that you are utilizing, that you will protect and serve to your best ability in the ambit, of course, within the constitution, and also serve your purpose towards South Africans. But if you are protecting, meddling, and interfering with investigations in political killings and organized crime, then we have a serious problem. Minister Mchunu is definitely compromised. Now, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has not made these allegations of hearsay. It's not made of some dumb social media information. These were actually factual. There was a special task team that was investigating the political killings, and they have uncovered a few things. And also, at the call of the minister also requested for this political task team that are investigating the political killings also be dismantled. Now, what does that tell you? The pot calling the kettle black. Now, let's go further into this. Minister Mchunu has been placed on special leave pending the Commission's findings. Once again, our gaslighting president, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, as usual, is either shocked or he's stunned or he's just frozen like the ice princess. And really, with all due respect, this is our president, which is a head of state. Nonetheless, I also feel like President Cyril Ramaphosa is gaslighting a lot of situations that he doesn't seem to want to take control of. Because as a specific leader and as a head of state, what do you do if your ministers are compromised? You take action. You hold them to account. You follow the internal disciplinary procedures, and if found or deemed guilty in any form, misconduct, corruption, whatever it may be, you apply the acts. However, they placed this minister on special leave. Now me, working in the private sector, I think I need special leave, paid special leave, for doing nothing. Now this is what happens to your tax-paying money, including myself. A minister gets placed on special leave, full pay. Now that's where your taxes are going to. Just remember that, South Africans. That is where your hard-earned tax money is going to. Now, in response, our President Cyril Ramaphosa has appointed Firoz Kachalia, the chairperson of the National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council and former Gauteng MEC for Community Safety, as the acting police minister effective 1st of August 2025. Today is the 3rd of August, so technically this gentleman has now been occupying that ministerial post since the 1st of August, or roughly 2 days ago. The commission is expected to submit an interim report within 3 months, followed by a final report within 6 months thereafter. Now remember, this timeline sounds more like someone that is pregnant. First you have 3 months, which includes the interim report that needs to be submitted, and then 6 months thereafter there's another additional report, or should I say the final report. That sounds to me like someone is pregnant inside the South African Police Force leadership. As reported by Daily Maverick, an important consultation with the credible witness is scheduled to take place. Now, who is this credible witness? We don't know. We will find out shortly. This approach will help the Commission gather insights of what additional information may need further investigation. According to insider sources, the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Umkhanazi, has indicated that he is the witness in question for this critical consultation. Remember what I said not too long ago. The important consultation with the first witness is scheduled to take place. Now, according to insider information, the first witness that's going to take the stand against these allegations is Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Umkhanazi himself, and he has indicated that he is the witness in question for this critical consultation. Respect to that brother, because first and foremost, he's willing to take on the police ministry, highlight the inefficiencies, the corruption, as well as the colluding between drug cartels, drug dealers, as well as private businesses, all enabling state and private corruption. Now, one thing I do respect about this Lieutenant General is that he's willing to come out in the public and state his view. This is not based on some bullshit social media posts. This is purely driven by fact and factual investigation. After reviewing the information gathered, the Commission may need to follow up on additional details. Now, Acting Deputy Chief Justice Mboyiseli Batlanga stated that hearings should begin as soon as the initial steps are completed, ideally in the month of August 2025. Batlanga leads a team of 12 members selected for their specific experience and he is confident that they can fulfill their mandate for the people of South Africa. Here's a summary of the key individuals assisting the Deputy Chief Justice. The Deputy Chief Justice will also retire from the bench at the end of July, which has passed. So technically, Deputy Chief Justice has now retired by the end of July. And he will be supported by none other than Advocate Sesi Baloy, Senior Counsel, and Advocate Sandile Kumalo, Senior Counsel as co-commissioners. Advocate Terry Matau, Senior Counsel, will serve as the Commission's Chief Evidence Leader. Other evidence leaders include Advocate Adila Hassim, Matthew Cheskalson, Mshlape Selo, Senior Counsel, Lee Siegels Ngube, Offense Motlasedi, and Tabang Pui. The chief investigator, as part of this commission of inquiry team that will be doing the initial investigation into these allegations, is Dr. Peter Gross and also Dr. Nolita Vukuza. They will serve as the Commission's secretary, and also Jeremy Michaels is the head of communication. The story does continue. There's much more to unfold with regards to the state of affairs in South African police force and ministers colluding with criminals, which in fact blocks investigations, dismantling of a special task team that was investigating political killings, and nonetheless Minister Mchunu, which is now person of interest. While we can't say he's a suspect as of yet, as you know, our constitution clearly indicates you are innocent until proven guilty. So as per the Criminal Procedures Act, you are also innocent until proven guilty. Based on these allegations, they are damning, they are scary, and they are disturbing. Minister Mchunu, if you are watching me, please do the right thing and come forward. If you are dealing with drug dealers and you are colluding with a whole bunch of shady characters, please come forward and tell South Africa, what have you been doing? We cannot keep paying for your fat booty to sit at home and be placed on special leave by our gaslighting president, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa himself, and you just chowing our taxpayer money, and yet knowingly that you are compromised and you're not willing to spill the beans. But like I say, what gets done in the dark is going to come out in the light. So guess what? Maybe it's time for you to step into the light, Minister Mchunu. Now, I've also included the terms of reference. You will find that information throughout the engagement right now. I will put up a post where you can actually have a look at the terms of reference for the Commission of Inquiry that will investigate these allegations by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. Now, President Cyril Ramaphosa, like I mentioned to you not too long ago, he's a gaslighting man. Gaslight. Check what this man just did. He removed the Deputy Minister Andrew Whitfield from the Department of Trade and Industry and Competition under Section 93(1) of the Constitution due to outright distortions. What are these outright distortions? The President needed to make a public statement. Mr. Gaslight himself, flexing. He felt that South Africa deserved a public statement by himself. Let's understand what Mr. Gaslight just did. So, Mr. Whitfield, the Deputy Minister in Trade and Industry and Competition, he traveled to the United States. In fact, when you're traveling to any foreign country outside of South Africa's borders, that travel must be approved and it must be reviewed by the head of state, which is President Cyril Ramaphosa. Now, Deputy Minister Whitfield, I'm not sure what on earth you had to go do in the United States. Maybe he's a neoliberal, we don't know. According to the Executive Code of Ethics for Deputy Ministers and Ministers alike, because they all form part of the Cabinet, This particular request and this move and travel to the United States was a violation of the rules and ethics of all deputy ministers and ministers alike. According to Mr. President Cyril Ramaphosa, he stated that this was a violation, and all ministers are aware, as well as deputy ministers, they are well aware of the ethics and code that is centered around travel. Now, I'm not sure what Deputy Minister Whitfield was thinking. Maybe he thought, okay, we are in the GNU, we are a strategic partner in the GNU, so I'll leave the country without the president's approval or review of my travel arrangements, and I'll just go to the United States. While it's that same thinking that, yes, back in the colonial times, our slave owners and slave masters had a upper hand over the slaves, and this is the same level of respect that your slave masters and slave owners have over the slaves. So check at this. The minister defies the code of ethics that governs the deputy ministers as well as the ministers and decides to go to United States without the approval of the head of state. So what does that tell you? Where is the respect of the other partner in the GNU, which is, of course, the Democratic Alliance, and Deputy Minister Whitfield being a member of the Democratic Alliance clearly shows that they disrespect the head of state. So they will do as they please. That is the same behavior that your colonial masters have over the slaves. Dr. Umar Ifatunde said this well: the slave that is whipped the most is the slave that will be used the most. Now, President Cyril Ramaphosa in this case is the slave being whipped, and the disrespecting slave owner and slave master is Deputy Minister Whitfield. Because guess what? I don't care if we are in the GNU, and I don't care if you are the head of state of this country. I will travel to the United States. We actually don't give a fuck about you, President Cyril Ramaphosa. That is the attitude that this deputy minister had. And guess what? It cost him his job. Yes, let's track back to Minister Mchunu. Minister Mchunu was placed on special leave, but Deputy Minister Whitfield, his ass gets fired. Now, don't we see that's a little bit contradicting? On the one hand, you've got a criminal cartel operating out of Gauteng that's being investigated with regards to political killings and organized crime. Your police minister is compromised at the highest level with these connected individuals. And then on the other hand, you've got a deputy minister in trade and industry and competition violating the code of ethics and governance for deputy ministers and all ministers alike. Just basically travels without your consent, neither your approval, and just fucks off to the United States. Now, what does that tell you of your management inside the GNU? You cannot have a firm grip as a head of state, and you cannot control this particular agreement that is so-called the Government of National Unity, or should I say the coalition government. President Cyril Ramaphosa has lost control of key strategic parts of the GNU. Now we also need to understand, besides this minister being fired, let's move on to the other minister that our gaslighting president also fired. So, in relation to that deputy minister's axing, the Democratic Alliance, they are also implicated in this case. The minister disregarded the president's guidelines, which led to his dismissal. And of course, before Mr. Whitfield or Minister or Deputy Minister Whitfield was removed from his post, the leader of the DA, the one and only matriculant John Steenhuisen, was notified that the replacement minister will need to be proposed to the president for approval, as of course the DA is entitled to a deputy minister position. So I'm not sure who that replacement is. I have not had a look and find out who that is, but nonetheless, that is what Mr. Gaslight himself told John Matrick Steenhuisen, that a deputy minister is required. On the other hand, the president has also Dismissed? No, he has not dismissed. He's fired because guess what? President Cyril Ramaphosa loves flexing, guys. Let's just get that. As much as we like this buffalo, we need to understand there are times when the buffalo has to show his prowess. So what did President Cyril Ramaphosa do? He fired the Minister of Higher Education and Training, Nobushle Mkabane, from opposition. The decision arose from the controversy around the SETA education, well, should I say the SETA board appointments, Sector Education and Training Authority, which were largely influenced by political connections. It's also been understood that Minister Gwede Mantashe's son was also appointed to the board. Now, explain that bullshit to me as a South African taxpayer. How does a minister's son end up becoming a member of the SETA board? Connections, connections. Cadre, cadre. Deployment, deployment. The ANC doesn't know anything better. All that the ANC knows is just taking care of their friends, taking care of their families, and taking care of those beneficiaries. This is what resulted in the axing of that higher education and training minister. I do not disregard Cyril's decision. It was coming. When she was roped into parliament and questioned about the credibility of the appointments and the source of the appointments, who told that minister to make these appointments, she lied not only to the parliamentary committee, she also lied to the people of South Africa. So she deserved what's coming. She may be unemployed, that's all good. I was also unemployed before. So she needs to feel the bridge. However, remember, she is a minister, so guess what? She's still getting her full pay. Nonetheless, that's where your taxes are going to. So now we move further down the line. The 30%. No, this is not the 30% pass rate in South Africa. This is the 30% that was supposed to be effective of the 1st of August. None other than Donald Trump, the President of the United States, whereby ensuring that the administration's tariffs are effective the 1st of August 2025. However, they are projected to increase South African exports by 30%. That means we utilize the AGOA option. AGOA allows us to export our products into the United States through preferential markets, duty-free. Now with a 30% application of the tariff, that means any exports, whether that be predominantly automobile as well as agriculture, you will be expected to pay a 30% tariff on top of those exported goods, which I think is ridiculous nonetheless. In all fairness, why is South Africa not increasing their trade with other African countries? Yes, United States is one of our biggest trading partners, but we can do better. Why are we still giving into the United States? And why are we begging the United States? Shouldn't we as South Africa be increasing our footprint of trade on the African continent? Should we not be trading with more than a third? Now, should we not be trading with 50% of our goods and services on the continent? Because, in all fairness, South Africa has roughly 63 million people. I'm not sure what the accurate number is according to the population census, but let's go on that amount. And on the continent, we have more than 1 billion. Just imagine our resources, our clothing, our minerals, our goods, our services exported on the African continent, and we trade with all African countries. Wouldn't that be more beneficial instead of us begging at the feet of the United States? Oh no, Mr. Trump, you need to take away those 30% hikes on the exported goods because of AGOA. I don't give a fuck about AGOA. I give a fuck about Africa. I give a fuck about South Africa. It's not like the United States cares about South Africa. We are influenced by the global north through all their brands, their culture, their entertainment, their music, their books, their literature. Every damn fucking thing that's American is in South Africa. So why are we not improving our position of trade? Why are we not using our own comparative advantage and actually negotiate? Because instead of us taking this like a man, laying on the ground, hands down, we must now take this 30% and shut the fuck up. I think that is unfair and I think is wrong. And as progressive South Africans, we really need to get our act together because we need to also understand what is our position in the global community. We are a mineral-rich country. We have resources, but we're begging the United States for preferential trade so that we have access to their markets exclusively. I think that is disgusting. That level of negotiation should be taking place between African states, whereby South Africa tells other African countries, we're going to trade with you 40% of our goods and services or 50% and more, and we're going to do intra-Africa trade so that we bolster economic growth, we bolster migration of services, we also bolster migration of skills, because what the one country has in Africa, the other country may be lacking. So in order for us to support that economic drive, we then bolster the trade with those ones that are lacking. We give them the resources, they in turn pay us, we in return receive our foreign revenue domestically and also regionally on the continent, and in all fairness there's also a transition and exchange of value in between, because it's a win-win for both. The African countries benefit from our goods and services, we benefit from the trade, which then grows our economy. Now, why are we not doing that? Why are we still begging countries like the United States, which in fact is one of South Africa's biggest trading partners? The only reason why they are, we have more than 600 companies registered in South Africa that are from the United States. It's not like you see in the United States 600 plus South African companies. It's not like you see on the S&P 500 of the biggest companies on the exchange is South African. No, you don't see that type of shit. So why are we begging these people? Why? So let's move forward. As confirmed by the U.S. Trade Representative's Office on July the 25th, 2025, the document outlining these tariffs is a preliminary framework that addresses aspects to be discussed before finalizing a trade agreement. So apparently, on the 25th of July, a preliminary framework was signed by an envoy. Now, this was confirmed by the United States Trade Representative's Office on July the 25th. President Donald Trump has stated that these tariffs aim to tackle South Africa's unsustainable trade deficits and long-standing market barriers. I wonder what those long-standing market barriers are. Industry experts believe that the automotive, agriculture, and mining sectors will face severe repercussions due to these tariff increases. As I mentioned in my conversation not too long ago, agriculture and automotive will be severely affected. Mining too, because we export a lot of our materials to the United States, and also a catalyst for automotive parts is platinum. Platinum is used in a lot of automotive parts that we export to the United States. The finance minister has actually warned that up to 100,000 jobs may be lost if there's no extension granted or no deal is reached by the 1st of August 2025. Come on, motherfucking South Africa, come on. Are we really that dependent? If drug dealers can successfully facilitate the trade of narcotics from Colombia, Mexico, and other places, why can't South Africa redirect its trade more effectively to other regions of Africa? Just like I mentioned, why can't we do that? My guess, we just love begging. And last but not least, the foreign nationals that are flocking to our fucking country undocumented. This is where what cheeses me off about foreign nationals. I'm a patriot. I love my country. I love my continent. I love our brothers and sisters. But, nigga, please. You are coming to South Africa undocumented. You're doing all this illegal shit in our country. And second to that, we have no clue who you are. So why should we be patriotic as South Africans and show Ubuntu to people who actually don't respect our law? Why? I'm not being xenophobic, but why? You don't see droves of South Africans going into Malawi, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Mozambique, Niger, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Angola, Kenya. You don't see South Africans going in large numbers to their countries. And part of the asylum seeking process is that you are supposed to go to the country next door to you. South Africa is not next to Malawi. South Africa is not next to Kenya. South Africa is not next to the Democratic Republic of Congo. South Africa is not next to Zambia. South Africa is not next to fucking Uganda. So why the fuck is the whole of South Africa, my apologies, why the fuck is the whole of Africa coming to South Africa undocumented? And this is why we as South Africans need to take a stand against the scourge of foreign nationals in our country that are coming here illegally. Why I say this? I do not hate on these brothers and sisters, but you cannot bring them here undocumented and then you tell me you seek an asylum. Why don't you seek asylum to the country that's next to you? Like I said not too long ago, South Africa is not next to the Democratic Republic of Congo. Why the fuck are the Congolese in South Africa? Why the fuck are the Nigerians in South Africa? You need to ask yourself that question. You're not seeking asylum. You don't want to build your fucking country, so you run to South Africa. Because guess what? Our government doesn't give a shit. And the people of South Africa also don't give a shit. Yes, I'm talking to you. There are many businesses employing foreign nationals. Why? Because they avoid taxes, they avoid paying UIF, they also avoid skills development levy, and they also avoid certain labor laws, etc. This is why they employ a lot of foreign nationals. Look at the province of the Western Cape. If you look at the food and beverage sector alone, mostly foreign nationals are employed. Most restaurants, most food and beverage sectors. The same applies to the retail sector. Yes, employers like ShopRite, employers like Pick n Pay, you will see at some of their franchises divisions, they have foreign nationals working as till packers, shelf packers, merchandisers, etc. We have an unemployment of probably near 35%. And yet you want to tell me that you cannot employ a South African to do this job and you would hire a foreign national. Now that is the other problem we also have. As much as we have the problem of the influx of foreign nationals into South Africa, we also have the problem with the businesses enabling this foreign national to be utilized here. So you will underpay a foreign national and hire him because you don't want to pay a South African. Now that is bullshit to me. That is just another form of slavery. And because of that, we got a problem, an immigration fucking problem in South Africa. You're going to wake up one morning and all the industries are occupied by foreign nationals. I don't think anyone would love that or want that. We need to really think consciously of what the fuck we want. And yes, I do appreciate the likes of Operation Dudula. They are effective and they are doing their part. I think as South Africans, we need to do our part. What does the Constitution say, the preamble to Constitution? It says, we the people of South Africa. It doesn't say we the people of Africa. We the people of South Africa. Now, when a foreign national comes with this bullshit, oh, South Africa belongs to all those who live in it. No. United in our diversity, yes. That part where it says South Africa belongs to all those who live in it, that does not include Zimbabweans, Mozambicans, Angolans, Malawians, Congolese, Nigerians, Ghanaians, Cote d'Ivoire. It doesn't include all those fucking people. There's a reason why the line says, we the people of South Africa, recognizes the injustices of our past, honor those who suffered for justice and freedom in our land, respect those who have worked to build and develop our country, and believe that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, united in our diversity. Nowhere in that preamble does it state all Africans. It says clearly, we the people of South Africa. Now to you foreign nationals, Abahambe, we are coming for you one by one. It's going to begin with Operation Bedula, and then it's going to begin with the people of South Africa. If you are undocumented and you don't have papers, we also don't give a fuck if you are documented, because in all fairness, we need to understand what the fuck are you doing here in the first place. You can't tell us, no, you got documents, you got your paperwork. No, what are you doing here in South Africa in the first place? The spazas need to start be owned by South Africans. You look at Checker 6060, most of the drivers that are doing the deliveries are foreign nationals. You take an Uber, you find predominantly foreign nationals. No, as now South Africans are not lazy. We must stop this narrative and state that South Africans are lazy. They don't want to do this, they don't want to do that. That's not the case. South Africans are not lazy. We are productive and hardworking people. The problem is that we have too many undocumented foreign nationals taking over and taking the place where South Africans could have made an impact. So in all fairness and based on my assessment, Operation Dudula, we are going to assist. I myself, we will be assisting in eradicating foreign nationals from South Africa completely. That will be all the 9 provinces in South Africa. And we're going to come for you one by one. Abahambe. I came across an interesting article not too long ago. It says here, the victory of Vodacom with the Please Call Me Saga. I just want to read this. This is according to My Broadband. This is what they say here. In a scathing judgment, the Constitutional Court has ruled that the Supreme Court of Appeal must rehear the case between Kenneth Nkosana Makate and Vodacom with a differently constituted panel of judges. South Africa's apex court ruled that the Supreme Court has failed in its duty of proper consideration by failing to consider critical evidence and accepting Makate's calculations without question. The judgment was handed down by Acting Deputy Chief Justice Mbuyiseli Matlanga, who retires today and for whom there was a special sitting of the Constitutional Court. Matlanga said that he and his fellow judges agonized over the issues presented, as considering the possibility of such a total failure by a superior court was new ground within South Africa's jurisprudence. This is the second time this case has appeared before the South Africa's apex court. In April 2016, the Constitutional Court ruled that the verbal agreement existed between Vodacom and Makate. It ordered that Vodacom and Makate must negotiate in good faith regarding appropriate compensation for his idea, designating the Vodacom CEO as the deadlock breaker. Makate presented his idea for a buzzing option in a memo to his boss on the 21st of November 2000 while a trainee accountant at Vodacom. His original idea was to send a missed call to someone's phone without airtime. Evidence submitted in court documents shows that Vodacom acknowledges as the impetus for Please Call Me. Interesting. However, despite the Constitutional Court's ruling 9 years ago and Vodacom, Mr. Money in the Bank, Shamil Jusab, calculating the compensation offer of 47 million rand, the parties could not reach an agreement. Makate rejected the offer, labeling it shocking and as an insult. Of course it is. He returned to the court to argue for compensation of up to 126 billion rand, obtaining favorable rulings in the High Court and Supreme Court of Appeal. Vodacom applied to the Constitutional Court for permission to appeal Supreme Court ruling that was handed down on the 6th of February 2024. The court had ordered Vodacom to pay Makate between 5 and 7.5 of the total voice revenue its Please Call Me's products generated over a 18-year plus period with interest. Based on Makate's previous court papers, his model showed that the capital amount alone was 9.7 billion rand when calculated using 5% revenue share, growing to almost 29 billion rand when adding interest. When calculating the compensation based on 7.5% revenue share, the amount balloons to 63 billion rand with interest. Vodacom argued that this ambiguity makes the Supreme Court order unenforceable. However, Makate said in his responding papers to the Constitutional Court that when the Supreme Court of Appeals order is interpreted correctly, the payment due from Vodacom amounted to 9.4 billion rand. And then Vodacom argued that Makate was effectively trying to make the Supreme Court order enforceable. How convenient, Vodacom. By vacating certain claims it potentially entitled him to. Wow, how rich coming from Vodacom. Nonetheless, Makate has been embroiled in this legal battle with Vodacom since 2008. Vodacom launched its first version of the Please Call Me in 2001, 2 months after MTN introduced a similar product. I will post the link to this article in the content, and you'll be able to do a follow-up and read a little bit more about this court case between Vodacom and Mr. Makate himself. But Vodacom is celebrating their victory. I'm not sure how these neoliberals celebrate, but this is not a victory. This for me is just another way of showing that you're not willing to bend the rules and you're not willing to compromise. You're not willing to participate and you're not willing to compensate. So in all fairness, this is a battle between David and Goliath, and these are things that happen in the corporate workplace. This is what multinational companies do to people. When you are going against their value, you're going against their policy, and you're disrupting the status quo, they take you to court. And they drain you and drain you and drain you until it gets to a point of no return, and you are so exhausted, you just give up. I guess that is the strategy that Vodacom is using, to continually dragging and dragging, constantly appealing, constantly appealing, constantly appealing. At some point, eventually hoping Mr. Makate will be exhausted and give up and take whatever is available. Based on the legal fees, that 47 million is probably exhausted by now, because this battle has been ongoing since 2008. I could just imagine what the invoicing would be for this entire saga. I do hope Mr. Makate does come out a winner and he is rewarded fairly for his efforts. Vodacom, shame on you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching The Plantation. And thank you for remaining a slave.